there everyone, welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Monday, January the 14th, 2013, and some of you may recall that it was around this time, approximately 1 year ago, that we here at Press for Truth were focusing a great deal of our attention on the SISPA and PIPA, and in particular the SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, and these bills sought to block the free flow of information online, and if passed, they would have given the government the ability to shut down just about any websites they want based on copyright infringement claims. And back then, a lot of us rallied together. The activist community and the online community raised a great deal of awareness about the dangers of the SOPA bill being passed, and we ended up having a victory in that regards, in that the bills were shelved. And it very much was a victory for the activist community, the online community, and what a lot of people may not be aware of is the fact that that initiative was to a large extent launched by a young man named Aaron Swartz. And Aaron was considered an internet genius. He was a computer prodigy. He is the co-founder of Reddit.com, many call the front page of the internet. Aaron also designed the code for RSS feeds, which is currently to this day used by Facebook and YouTube and a lot of the major websites around the world. I have an RSS feed that you can subscribe to at pressfortruth.ca. And Aaron designed this code when he was 14 years old. So he's a very, very bright young man who launched this initiative to stop SOPA, because Aaron believed very strongly in the free flow of information online, and he wanted to maintain the internet as being open and free for everyone. And it wasn't just that Aaron was pushing for. He was involved in speaking out about a great deal of injustices, the Obama's secret kill list. He would talk about, his dealings with the TSA, and he exposed a great deal of things. Well, news just came in this weekend that Aaron has been found dead on Friday in his apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Now, the medical examiner has deemed this very untimely and suspicious death as being a suicide by hanging. And there's already been a statement from his family members. The fact of the matter is, Aaron was getting set to release a great deal of information, scientific journals that he felt should be free and public, and information that should be available online for everyone. And for this, he was charged and had a court case coming up in April in which if he was convicted, he could have faced upwards of 35 years in prison and potentially millions of dollars in fines. So a lot of people believe that these harsh outcomes, these harsh penalties for what he was trying to do are what led to his untimely death. Here's an article recently from Press TV on that. Obama's kill list critic found dead in New York City. Prominent American blogger and computer prodigy Aaron Swartz, who spoke against U.S. President Barack Obama's kill list and cyber attacks against Iran, has been found dead in New York. Police found the body of the 26-year-old in his apartment in New York City boroughs of Brooklyn on Friday, said a spokeswoman for the city's chief medical examiner. Brooklyn's chief medical examiner ruled the death a suicide by hanging, but no further detail is available about the mysterious death. Last year, Swartz openly criticized the U.S. and the Israeli regime for launching joint cyber attacks against Iran. The blogger was also vocal in criticizing Obama's so-called kill list and other policies. Obama has been reportedly approving the names put on the kill list used in the targeted killing operations carried out by U.S. assassination drones. Every week or so, more than 100 members of the U.S. National Security Team gather via security video teleconference run by the Pentagon, and they go over the biographies of suspects in Yemen, Somalia, and Pakistan, and they nominate those who should be targeted in the attacks. Obama is then provided with the identities of those put on the kill list, and he signs off on every strike in Yemen and Somalia, as well as the risky strikes in Pakistan. Swartz was also widely credited for co-authoring the specifications for the web feed format RSS, which he worked on at the age of 14. Swartz was critical of the monopoly of information by corporate cartels, and he believed that information should be shared and available for the benefit of society. Information is power, but like all power, there are those who want to keep it for themselves, he wrote in an online manifesto in 2008. Based on that belief, the computer prodigy founded the nonprofit group Demand Progress. The group launched a successful campaign to block a 2011 bill that the U.S. House of Representatives called the Stop Online Piracy Act. Had it been approved, the bill would have allowed court orders to restrain access to some websites considered to be involved in illegal sharing of intellectual property. And again, Aaron just saw this as a clear and easy way for the government to be able to shut down the free flow of information online. And this is precisely why he launched this campaign to have it stopped and have it blocked. In fact, I'll play for you here a clip from an interview that Aaron gave where you can hear it from himself about how he feels the future of the internet ought to go, and how networking together, we now have the ability to network together and to go outside of the corporate-owned media. The days of television are over, and the free flow of information online is the future. Here are the words of Aaron Swartz himself on his ideas about how the internet ought to run.
The change in the architecture of the media is completely connected to a change in the architecture of control. You know, with the broadcast system, you have one person in one station deciding what gets put over the airwaves. When you have a distributed network like the internet, everybody can be a server. There's no distinction between the broadcaster and the receiver. Every computer does both. You know, you can take your home laptop and run a server off of it that can distribute movies and music and web pages and email in the same way that the biggest computers at Google can. There's no fundamental difference between the computers they have in the racks in their server rooms and what you have on your desk. In the old system of broadcasting, you're fundamentally limited by the amount of space in the airwaves. You know, you could only send out 10 channels over the airwaves of television, right? Or even with cable, you had 500 channels. On the internet, everybody can have a channel. Everyone can get a blog or a MySpace page. Everyone has a way of expressing themselves. And so what you see now is not a question of who gets access to the airwaves. It's a question of who gets control over the ways you find people. You know, you start seeing power centralizing in sites like Google, these sort of gatekeepers that tell you where on the internet you want to go, the people who provide you your sources of news and information. So it's not, you know, only certain people have a license to speak. Now everyone has a license to speak. It's a question of who gets heard. So one of the biggest questions we're facing is, in a world of 1 million speakers, how do you find what's good? Are we going to go to a system like the old media where you go to CNN and they pick a handful of people to focus on and you read what they say? Or are we going to go something more like the internet where everybody has a chance at being heard, a more democratic system? One of the most interesting technologies for doing something like that is a system called collaborative filtering, where everybody expresses their opinions on what they like and what they don't like, and the computer tries to match you up with other people who have similar preferences and recommend you things that they also like that you didn't know about before. It's the same kind of system you see on Amazon, with people who bought this book also bought this book. People are trying to experiment that not just with books, but with blogs and with web pages and news stories all across the internet to try and find ways of things you never would have heard of before and bringing them in front of you. Well, mass media had this fundamental paradox because it was aiming at a huge audience, but it wanted to convince everybody they were an individual. So you see all these ads on television all the time, like, you know, buck the trend, buy these jeans, right? And it's on a show that 4 million people are watching. You know, you're not going to buck a trend by doing the same thing 4 million other people are. Now that the internet is actually making these niche things possible, you know, the mass media is incredibly threatened. You know, no longer this idea of bucking the crowd and being your own. is, it's no longer just a theory. You can actually do it on the internet. And what we're starting to see is tools that take power away from these big conglomerates and start to distribute it to small groups.
So Aaron was clearly a very bright young man, a very intelligent individual who was actively working basically to make the world a better place by maintaining an open and free internet and not being suppressed by the government. And this is ultimately what ended up leading to his death. Now, we may never know the truth about whether if he was killed or if he actually committed suicide. We may never know what really happened there, but the important thing to remember is that he led by example. He showed us that we can defeat these draconian laws when they present themselves by the governments, just simply by networking together via the internet while we still have it. So I also came across another video that I'd like to leave you with today. It's a keynote speech that Aaron gave in which he describes the entire process that he went through which eventually led to the Stop Online Piracy Act from being defeated. And I would encourage you to watch the speech. It's a 22-minute long speech, so I'll just put a link to that YouTube clip in the description of this video so you can check it out for yourself on your own time. But you will see that this young man was a revolutionary. He was an internet genius, and he was working towards maintaining the internet as being open and free. And I think we can follow Aaron's example, and because no doubt we're going to see more of these types of bills come up. They'll be rebranded, reintroduced under different names, and we're going to have to continue what Aaron started by trying our best to maintain the free flow of information online. So just something I wanted to bring to your attention today, folks. Once again, when you have some time, you can check out the keynote speech that he gave not too long ago, and he describes the process that he went through to defeat the SOPA bill. It's quite a remarkable speech. And anyways, folks, that is all for today. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again, and I'll see everyone right back here tomorrow. Take care.